Okay, so we're now going to try and call this function trap from the command line, and we're going to interrupt the execution at this point to see what's going on with this function. Okay, so to call the function from the command line, I can assign it to any variable. So if I say that r is equal to trap, now I need to give it some input arguments. Now, the first input argument is a special one. It's actually a function. So I need to give it the name of the function I want to pass it. In this case, this function. But I need to give it also the @ sign before the name to make it clear that I'm passing a handle to a function. So it's like giving it it's just telling, you can think of it as telling MATLAB that this input argument is actually a function. So that's the handle to the function that I'm passing. So that's going to go into the input argument fn. And then I just need to give it the limits of integration. Let's take the lower limit of 0 and the upper limit of 3. And let's have the width h as 0.1. Okay, and I'll hit return, and we'll call that function. Now you notice that the code execution has been paused at this line 2, where this red circle is. So that's quite nice. Now I can step through and see what the function is doing. So this line basically calculates the number of intervals, upper limit minus the lower limit divided by h, the interval width. So this should calculate n equals 30 for the input arguments that we chose. If you hover over it, sure enough, n is just a scalar, 1 times 1, value of 30. This next line then sets up a vector whose points are equally spaced between a, the lower limit, and the upper limit, b. So between 0 and 3. So if I just hit step there, and then I hover over x, that gives me the values of x. It's actually 29 values. It doesn't go right up to 3. The next line, this requires a bit of explanation, but this basically uses a MATLAB function feval. feval evaluates a given function at a certain value of the input arguments. So let's illustrate that on the command line. So even though we're in the middle of execution, we can actually use the command line to illustrate this. So I'll use the up arrow, and I'm now going to write in q equals feval. Now I'm going to give it a pointer to the function I'm interested in, and I'm going to evaluate that function, let's just say at 0. So feval, the MATLAB function feval, takes a handle to a function and evaluates and returns the value of that function at this specified value of the input argument. So this should return q equals 1. Okay. So in the MATLAB code, an feval will work on a vector. So in this case, feval is working on a vector of input values. This will return another vector, which is the function evaluated at each of those input values, and then we're going to sum them. Okay. And then finally, so this is basically the area of all the trapezia apart from the start and the end. And then we're going to just add on the trapezia, the first trapezia length and the last trapezia length to get the overall area. So I've hit step on that. Now, if I hit step again, I'm going to step out of the function, and that's the end of the function execution. And this is the value. So this is the value for the numerical integration of our function, of this function, between y equals 0 and y equals 3 with a trapezium width of 0.1. So we could compare that with the exact value later.